What's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to give you guys a studs and duds video after every one I usually do it. Sometimes after losses I do duds and duds, but let's get into studs and duds. Before we do, just want to give a quick shout out to Critical Peak Services. Shout out to them. They do a lot of electrical work in the DMV. They do outlets, receptacles, lighting, security cameras. So if you want your man cave looking nice with recessed lighting, or even your new home, or just revamping your home, they do a lot of lighting, recessed lighting, lamps, outdoor lighting, pool lighting, or any electrical work, generators, security cameras. Even if you want an electric car charging station, hit up Critical Peak. You get 10% off your first service call, or you get free estimates as well. 10% off your first anything with Critical Peak Services. You just call in. The code is Commander. Their number is 877-247-9767. Once again, it's 877-247-9767. Critical Peak Services. All right, so let's get into the video real quick. So we had a couple of studs here. So first stud for me, I'm gonna start with Jamison Crowder because that punt return really changed the game. I don't think we win the game without that punt return, because it was all about having short fields. Our offense really struggled for the most part. They had a good first half, but the second half they struggled for the most part. Anytime we got the ball really off of a kickoff or from our own 20, we weren't really able to really move the ball down the field. The second half was pretty darn bad. We punted like 3 or 4 times in a row, a couple 3-and-outs. We just kept giving the ball back to the Falcons offense a bunch of times. And like I said in my video yesterday, it kind of felt like that Bears game where we just needed a spark, man. And I'm so happy Jamison Crowder is back, man, because he's such an upgrade over Dax Milne. That was a heck of a punt return. Could have returned it for a touchdown, but he's not the Jamison Crowder from 2016, 2017, where he ran one back against the Ravens and ran one against the Giants, I want to say as well. But that was a heck of a play. And it just gave us a short field. We scored quickly. A nice pass to, I want to say it was Antonio Gibson. We had it was to Curtis Samuel. There was one touchdown to Curtis Samuel, one touchdown to Antonio Gibson as well. But yeah, that really set us up in great field position. We needed that spark. We just needed something. We needed some type of help from our defense and special teams. We just haven't gotten it at all. Our special teams has actually been a downfall for the most part. Tress Way hasn't been great this year. And then we've given up a couple big punt returns. One to Marvin Mims, one in the Bills game as well. And I want to say we gave up a solid punt return to the Eagles as well. We just needed a spark, just a spark of life from our punt return team. And then Jamison Crowder did a heck of a job doing that. There were some great blocks on that punt return as well. Terry Malone was a stud, 6 catches for 81 yards. AJ Terrell could not check him. He was getting open early and often. We finally targeted him. We finally got him the football, and he got the football in space and was able to make plays. Broke a couple tackles, ran for a couple first, and had some yak plays as well. So when we get Terry McLaurin involved, that's when our offense is at our best, at its best for sure. Casey Toohill, a guy that we don't really see on this list a lot. Casey Toohill had 2 sacks. He pressured Desmond Ridder into a intentional grounding as well. So Casey Toohill was a stud for sure. Let me pull up the PFF grades as well. For the offensive side, Terry McLaurin was our highest graded offensive guy on PFF with an 80.9. I want to see where Casey Toohill graded out. Casey Toohill graded with a 75.4. His tackling was a 71.7. His pass rush was a 71.5. So he did a heck of a job. Jartavius Martin graded out pretty high with a 91. He was the highest graded defensive player. Only 7 snaps, but Casey Toohill had 18 total snaps. It had 11 pressures. He hit 11 pass rush snaps as well. But have a day, Casey Toohill, man. He did a great job. 7 run defensive snaps as well. But Casey Toohill was a standout for sure, man. He had 2 sacks, man. He looked like Ryan Kerrigan out there. He really did. He really looked like Ryan Kerrigan for a couple of plays. And just showed that burst and that closing speed. Casey Toohill had a heck of a day. He definitely should have hit the gritty like he did last year against the Eagles. Kendall Fuller had a pick, and I thought he did a good job for the most part. That was a huge interception. He could have got 2, but one went off his shoulder pad where I don't know if he just wasn't ready for it or not. But Kendall Fuller, man, he's had a heck of a season so far, man. 80.1 defensive PFF grade, 60.1 tackling grade, and 84.7 coverage grade as well. So Kendall Fuller had a great game out there. I thought he was a stud for sure. Another stud in the game was Jamin Davis, man. The game-sealing interception. He called game, lining up against Bijan Robinson. That's a tough cover. Bijan Robinson is like another wide receiver out there, so I thought Jamin Davis did a great job. He did get a sack as well, kind of like a coverage sack. Well, not really, but Desmond Ridder ran out of bounds. And that technically is a sack. But Jamin Davis has been flying around and making plays. He made an impact play in that Denver game that changed the game. And then he made the game-sealing clutch interception on Desmond Ridder as well. On one-on-one coverage on an island against Bijan Robinson. That's a tough cover. Some people said he held, but I thought it was a good play. He might have got away with a hold, but I thought he did a heck of a job on that play there. Next stud was Curtis Samuel, man. He had a couple catches. What he had, like 4 catches, had the touchdown. Then he had a nice reverse play, a jet sweep play in the red zone that set us up to score. So I thought he did a heck of a job out there. He basically has turned into our wide receiver number 2. Last year he was our wide receiver number 3, but in this offense, he's really thriving more with under Eric Bieniemy. I don't know what it is, but he's taking the spot of Jahan Dotson, and he just kind of has fit a little bit better under Eric Bieniemy. So I don't know what it is, but they really might have to consider keeping him in this offseason because he's a free agent. I was kind of down with letting him go and not re-signing him, but since Jahan has not really played well or really developed well under Eric Bieniemy, I don't know what's going on with Jahan Dotson. I don't know. I mean, people are speculating that he was the guy that spoke up, one of the anonymous players that spoke up and voiced their concern to Ron Rivera during training camp. I don't know what it is going behind the scenes, but he looked like he really has lost his confidence. Jahan Dotson was a dud. He had a drop against the Eagles, a big drop. Then he dropped a touchdown, a pass that could have been a touchdown. That was a big drop by Jahan. So Jahan has had 2 big drops. He did have a nice touchdown catch against the Eagles, but for the most part, he's really been underwhelming. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to be better than Terry. I was like, guys, slow your roll. Slow your brakes, man, because you got to pump your brakes and roll slow, homie, with that one to say that Jahan will be better than Terry McLaurin. I think people are just getting a little too excited and too hyped up. He was the lowest graded offensive player on per PFF with a 45.5 offensive grade and passing grade of 45.6, probably because of the drop. He only got 1 target, though. We got to do better than Eric's got to be better than that. And I know Eric has a low tolerance for making mistakes, but he's so talented. Jahan is so talented, man. If he reaches his potential, he possibly could be a really good wide receiver number 2 or a really good wide receiver number 1. And we should have a dynamic duo, really a legitimate trio with Terry, Jahan, and Curtis. Like, Jahan is capable of getting a 1,000-yard season. He really is. Like, he's so talented. And he looked in the preseason, too. That's why I was so hyped up, because remember, he was like, don't put a safety on me. Don't put a safety on me in that preseason. I know it's preseason, but he looked darn good. Like, and last year he looked good, too. 7 touchdowns. He was a red zone target. So I just don't know where the disconnect is with him and Bieniemy, or just the confidence is just going away from Jahan Dotson for sure. So it really is mind-boggling, and it really is concerning, because our offense will be at it. For our offense to reach its potential, I think you got to get the best out of Jahan Dotson as well. B-Rob was a stud. 73.4, 81.1 passing grade. Pass blocking grade was 74.4, so that's pretty good from him as well. I'm happy about that. He had the screen pass run for a touchdown. He had a couple tough runs as well. Didn't put a lot of big numbers up, 10 carries for 31 yards, but he had a solid game for the most part, for sure. Another guy, Khaleke Hudson, man, that was a big stop on this 2-point conversion. He made a couple tackles flying around out there. Him and John Allen combined for that tackle to get a stop on the 2-point conversion. That was huge. Cornelius Lucas, man, he had a good game as well. I got to look up the stats for him. But looking at his PFF grade, he did not allow pressure at all, and that's pretty darn good for him filling in for Charles Leno. Cornelius Lucas, let me look up his PFF grade as well real quick. He graded up with a 68.4, 89.4 pass blocking grade. He was the highest graded offensive lineman with an 89.4 pass blocking grade. So he had a heck of a day out there. Did not allow pressure. Cam Curl did a good job. He had a big stop on a 3rd down. Had a couple pass breaks as well. He looked good. Cody Barton improved, but he did have that roughing the passer penalty. I'm not going to call him a dud for that, but Quan Martin made a good pass rush play and basically got a forced fumble, and then Cody Barton messed that up with hitting Desmond Ridder in the face. So I'm not going to give Cody Barton a dud grade, but he had his best PFF grade of the day for sure, for the season for sure. He graded with a 73.9, 82.6 run defense grade, and an 84.5 tackling grade as well. He's been getting like in the 40s and 30s per PFF, basically like every game, like 40s and 30s. Chase Young tackling hit a 25.0 tackling grade, which was the worst out of everybody because he missed that tackle on Desmond Ridder. Did have a neutral zone infraction, but for the most part, I thought he got to the quarterback. He just didn't finish. He got very close, but just didn't finish. And that's kind of been the thing that we've been talking about with him and Montez Sweat, is that they just have to finish plays. They just have to. Ben St. Juste had a 50.4 coverage grade, probably because, the plays with Drake London, where Drake London had that one-on-one catch with him against him, where I thought Ben St. Juste got the interception. It wouldn't have mattered because it would have been an offsides anyway, but I thought that was a terrible call by the refs there. So he had a tough day against Drake London right there. So that's really it for the duds. Kind of Bieniemy's play calling, some of the shotgun runs, just a bunch of 3 outs in the second half, slow developing routes. He couldn't scheme anybody open against the Falcons' man coverage in the second half, and we struggled there. And I think he just hasn't really targeted Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson hasn't really made any favors for himself either, but you got to get Jahan involved more and B-Rob more touches out of just a normal backfield run instead of a shotgun run, so B-Rob can reach his full potential for sure. Under center. Emmanuel Forbes got 0 snaps yesterday. 0 snaps. And I hate that he's not getting any playing time. But I'm sorry, like that's just kind of how it has to be. Like, you know, I mean, Ben St. Juste, he struggled a little bit from time to time, but at least they tackled better, and we didn't see guys scampering up the field for 60-yard runs like DJ Moore did. So I think in man on fours we'll get another opportunity and get another chance out there. But you know, it's Ron knows he's on the hot seat if he loses if he lost that game. That was a game where you just didn't have time to develop guys and throw them baptism by fire and throw them on guys like A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore. We just had to put our veterans like Ben St. Juste, Kendall Fuller, Danny Johnson. I thought Danny Johnson did a good job out there too. That's the last grade I'm going to look at, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Danny Johnson, where's he at? He finished with a 53.8 and a 50.4 coverage grade, which is not great, but it was better than man for. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Those were my studs and duds. Jamison Crowder certainly was a stud for sure. And that's all the grades I got. Andrew Wiley graded with a 49.4 pass blocking grade, so he was bad again. But and then Sam Howell, he just has to get rid of the football. He has to get rid of the football. That's my only concern with Sam. He had a 69.0 offensive grade, 68 passing grade, 3 touchdowns, no picks. So I thought he did a good job for the most part. He's just taking a lot of sacks. So, all right, you guys. Hell Commanders. Peace. Oh, and the Eagles lost to the Jets. That was awesome. I was dying laughing watching that game. And the Giants lost to the Bills. The Giants actually looked kind of good. They looked a little bit better under Tyrod Taylor. And Saquon Barkley did look good. So it's going to be a tough game on Sunday. It is. It's going to be a tough game against Saquon for sure. All right, guys. Hell Commanders. Victory Monday. Peace.